This is a meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals. The time is 7 p.m. and the date is July 14th. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates, the alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are members Ms. Betty Hollow, Ms. Kay Towsley, and alternate Ms. Ellen Salto. I am John Golsey, the chair. Also present are Zoning Administrator Mr. John Paskey and Secretary Mr. Paul Eschenbacher. At this time, I invite you to view a pre-recorded video on the rules and procedures of the board.
The Athens Board of Zoning Appeals operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding, summary, or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.03b, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.10c, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board makes specific findings of fact based directly on the particular evidence presented to it, that the standards and conditions imposed in this title, if applicable, have been met by the applicant. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property for which variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens, aggrieved by a decision of the board, may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the board to the applicant. Thank you.
Tonight, and there were cases number 15-11V, the property at 30 Hanlon Avenue. The second was or is number 15-12V, the property at 165 Columbus Road. And the last one is 15-13V, property at 77 Mill Street. As you can see, there are only 4 members here, and we generally have 5 members. And when we have less than 5 members, we give a choice or a chance to the appellants to postpone the hearing if they wish. And Mr. Paskey or Eschenbacher, do you have the final word on everybody's agreed?
Yes. Mr. Kraft, for case 1511, is going to want to have his case heard. The only one who wishes to continue the case is 1512, which is 165 Columbus Road. They've requested to come back next month.
Thank you. And for the last case, the 77 Mill Street, only 3 of us are going to vote. So you need 4 votes for the variance in order to pass the motion. So as long as you understand. Okay, with that, let's go to case number, well, before we go to that, the board is required to take testimony under oath. Would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda, please stand. Anyone who wants to testify, do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Case number 1 is case number 15-11V, Zone R1, and the property is at 30 Hanlon Avenue. Eldon Kraft is the appellant. Appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 23-1001, Table A, a schedule of bulk controls, to allow alteration of a house with a rear setback of 6 feet, where 30 feet is the minimum required.
Mr. Kraft's letter and the permit refusal are pretty self-explanatory. He wants to remodel the house, and with all the remodeling, including enclosing the back deck, the back porch there, that would add cubic content, which is a change which requires a variance and so forth. However, with all the renovations that he's doing, he is not changing the footprint of the house. He's just simply doing interior work and enclosing the porch.
And this is required because of the extent of the
yeah, technically he is adding cubic content,
Yeah.
even though he's not
adding it.
really increasing the house. And of course, the back part of the house is within 6 feet of the property.
Any questions for the code office? Well, Mr. Kraft or the appellant,
Yes.
would you please come to the podium and state your name and address for the records and anything else you want to
My name
say?
is Eldon Kraft. My address is 30 Hanlon Avenue in Athens. This is a home that I've bought to be my retirement home and that I hope to stay in for as long as I'm around. And in order to do that, it would greatly facilitate it to be able, for example, to rearrange the upstairs. I don't know that if you have copies of the package that I submitted,
Yes.
the pictures, you can see the stairs coming up in the middle, make the space very hard to configure in a useful way. And by repositioning those stairs, I would be able to introduce a small bathroom and a small laundry area with a master bedroom, and still have room for a small guest room up there. That would allow me to obtain all the uses that I hoped for in buying this property. I don't need to enclose the whole deck. It's just a small portion of the deck that would be enclosed on the end of the house where the stairs would be relocated to facilitate the placement of the stairs on that western wall. And I would emphasize once again that the surrounding properties are undeveloped. They're heavily wooded. The change in that roof line is not going to affect anybody's viewscape in the neighborhood. So I don't see an impact for my neighbors there.
And the house is sitting very low, actually.
Yes,
So,
it is. The peak of the roof line is just about at the street level of Hanlon.
Right.
So,
I saw a little bit of a kind of a maybe driveway, or was
there is an old existing driveway that's about sufficient for one small to medium-sized vehicle to back up and park there.
Okay.
So,
Questions? No. Okay, you may be seated for now. And is there anyone wishing to speak for this proposal, for this variance? Is there anyone who wishes to make a general commentary or oppose the variance? Okay, so you're good. We close the floor from the discussions, and anyone wants to make a comment or make a motion?
I will make a motion. I move that we grant a variance to the property at 30 Hanlon Avenue from ACC 231001, Table A, Schedule of Bulk Controls, to allow alteration of a house with a rear setback of 6 feet, where 30 feet is a required minimum.
I second.
Okay, we have a second. Shall we go through the findings? Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Topography and
Yes.
sitting down.
I think
So-
the fact that it's sitting down, but more than that, this is a house that already has a short setback.
Right.
And the only reason for having to address it again is that you're adding interior space, which is not really going to impact anyone except you.
More guests. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to the specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of the public purposes. So because of those special circumstances, not granting the variance will create a hardship.
Yes, this is a very small house, and making it more livable inside would certainly seem to be not bothering anyone else.
Preservation of equal property rights. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. It was played before. We are not granting any special privilege to this specific house.
No.
So, is this a minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property? That addition would be a reasonable use.
Yes.
You all agree?
Mm-hmm.
Absence of detriment. The authorization of such variance will not be substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. I don't think that would be
The
any.
answer is no. Yes.
And not of a general nature. And the answer is?
No.
No again. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
We are.
Okay, once we have a shot of the board, all in favor of this variance, please raise your hand. So there will be no opposing. So you have the variance with a vote of 4-0. Thank you. So moving on to the third case, which is case number 15-13B, Zone R3. The address is 77 Mill Street, and BDT Architects are the appellant. The appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 231001, Table A, a schedule of bulk controls, to allow construction of a building and parking area with 62% total lot coverage, where 60% is the permitted maximum. When I was there yesterday, I believe I saw 77 Miller Street, and there was another house in the corner. Are those the same
Yes.
property? Okay.
I think the idea is if this is allowed, then the one new apartment building would have the address of 77. Right now it's 77 and 8183.
Okay. And there are existing parking spaces, or there could be 21 spaces? I didn't see any.
There are existing parking spaces to the rear coming off of the playground. It's immediately behind them, but we as a city have tried to eliminate over the years the direct pulling in off streets,
Okay.
For the continuous length, especially on busier streets, although that's not one that's a busier street. But with the proximity to the university and I know Siegfried Hall's got plans for renovation. I don't know what they may be doing. So what may happen back there, we've felt that it'd be better to have them have specific driveway access into their property and eliminate the parking the way it is.
Any questions?
I think so.
This idea of as a permeable parking lot is not counted into this calculations, right?
The pavers or
Yeah.
I am counting it. I mean, I like the concept. Through the stormwater management team, we've talked about this a lot, but I cannot recognize it at this time as green space. So I still count it as hardscape or impermeable surface. And the reason being is we just don't have the power to the eyes to see that somebody wanted to blacktop over it 4 years from now, 5 years from now.
Okay.
And then so that if that was to happen, then we knew they still had their variance and they could do so. But if they wish to provide it, we're 100% in favor of it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Would the appellant please come to the podium and state your name and your address, and I understand you have a PowerPoint.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Wanda Weinberg, and I live at 47 Elmwood Place. Put this up here. I have been the president of the church council at Christ Lutheran Church for the past year, during which a lot of the development of this project happened. I've also been on the church council for the last 6 years when there was a lot of discussion over the years of all of the different possible solutions to the problem which our two rental houses have. I hope to give you not only some discussion about the zoning variance itself, but also some context into why we've made some of the decisions we've made as we go through this. So right now we do have two rental houses, and they are on, as you'll see in a moment, right down the street from us. One we have owned since the 50s, and another one we've owned since the early 2000s. One property we, in times past, had used for my sister's place in Caroline, but in recent years they have been used as student rentals. We have tried to keep up with them, but these were modest small homes when they were built in the early 20th century, and they're worn out is what it boils down to. We've done remodeling over the years, but we find that we really are in a position where something else has to happen. So you may recognize this is our church. This is just down the street from the properties we're talking about. We have been there since this building was built in 1962, and we chose this lot because we wanted to be adjacent to the university. Our identity is very much included with including college students in our congregation, and so that is why that lot was chosen, and we've been very serious members of of the Mill Street neighborhood for a long time. Right next door to us, we own another house, and we call this our church house. And this facility will not change. We use it now for offices, classes, meetings, and special events. Now, we originally talked about building 2 new multifamily units, one on each lot, but that didn't meet city code. And so that brought us to the plan that we're bringing to you tonight, making 1 building on the 2 properties, which is connected by a stairwell in the center. Also, as our plans changed, we downsized from 24 bedrooms to the current 21-bedroom plan that we're bringing here for you this evening. So this building that we're talking about building is next door to us. It's in our interest to have it as aesthetically pleasing to the neighborhood as well as to ourselves. We have developed a limited liability company to oversee the properties. And I think the next point is the major point that I would like to make, and that is that all of the net income from these properties will go to benevolences, go to local social service agencies. And that was the reason why we made this choice. There were any number of people who said, well, why should a church be a landlord? And this is the reason why. This is why we want to do it. We really want to make a significant impact on the community with this. And that was the big selling point with our congregation, too. That is why we're bringing this to you. So we will still have benevolence in our own church budget, because what we're going to do is separate these 2 budgets entirely, which they have not been in the past. So that there will be no confusion about supporting the church's operating budget with the income from these rentals. The rental income is going to be totally separate through the LLC, so that the giving that we can do from this income can be very separated out. For example, very roughly, we are projecting that we might make as much as $50,000 a year. That is enough to build a house for Habitat. That's something that we could do 1 year with that kind of income. And we've set up a special committee of people with a lot of knowledge and background in community needs and community services and agencies who are going to guide those decisions for us. Another thing we're talking about, and this is in the maybe stages, is making one part or all of this property interfaith housing. We've looked into the legality of it, and it is a possibility. We won't do that immediately because there's still a lot more planning to do. But it would be a place where we would invite people from all different faiths to live together in an intentional community. So the issue that we're here about this evening is the 2% of green space that our plan lacks. We will, of course, through landscaping, make it as an attractive place as possible. We'll use the full front yard on Mill Street and the full side yard on Kurtz, which meet the setback requirements. We'll meet the shade tree requirements. And this is the point that I think is the most interesting. If we do this, we'll have more green space than we have now. Right now, our current properties and the parking spaces on those properties take up more space than the parking spaces and these new buildings do, so would. So I only learned that myself this evening, and I thought that was a very interesting point. So here is how it's laid out with Mill Street there, Kirk Street there. The three-bedroom half will be on Kirk Street. The 4-bedroom half will be on Mill Street, and they're combined by that staircase in the middle with the parking spaces in the back. Now, one of the points about this slide is the odd shape of this lot. So if I might, I would like to address some of the things that I know that you all need to think about. The practical difficulty, that odd shape really makes it hard to meet the green requirement and still make improvements that are economically viable. In terms of exceptional circumstances, most of the other properties on Mill Street are built on more regular shaped lots. Preservation of equal property rights. This would not confer special privileges to this property. The variance would merely avoid depriving us of rights enjoyed by other properties in the neighborhood. It is only 2%. Absence of detriment would not be a detriment to adjacent property. We are the adjacent property. Or to the public interest and not of a general nature. The variance arises from the irregular shape of the lot. So, we feel that actually our proposal brings forward a project that actually will have more green space than most of our neighbors on Mill Street. It will definitely improve the look of Mill Street to replace those small, older buildings with a newer building. We're committed to making this quality housing, and it will make a significant impact in nonprofit areas of the community, and will generate more tax revenue for the city. So, do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? No?
No.
Okay, you might be seated.
Okay.
Is there anyone who would like to speak on behalf of this variance?
I would.
Please state your name and address.
Yes, thank you. John Molinaro, 76 Mulligan Road, Athens. I am also a member of the congregation and a member of the church council. And there's one item that we learned this evening as we were preparing for this meeting and looking at past minutes to get a sense of what we might be experiencing. And that's that there is a precedent 1 block away from us. Last year, case number 14-14V at 75 Stewart Street, 1 block away, this board voted to approve a 5-0, a 65% coverage variance. So slightly different circumstances for the property owner, but we would be improving the green space in the neighborhood compared to the current situation, and we would be consistent with past decisions of this group. In particular, this would, I think, apply to the issue of preservation of equal property rights, since others in similar circumstances have been granted actually a larger coverage ratio than we're requesting here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Anyone else who would like to speak on for this variance? Anyone who would like to make a general comment or speak in opposition to this variance? Okay, thank you. Discussion is closed on the floor. The size of this lot is 15,000 square feet, and the 2% comes to about 300 square feet, which I think is about a quarter of the size of this room. So just to give you perspective, it's not a whole lot. And if we compare this 300 square feet comparing to having to reduce the number of bedrooms, I think that will create a hardship.
Do you want to go through the findings so that you can
No,
present?
I'm just, I'm just
Commenting ahead of time?
Yeah, okay. But we have to have a motion before we get to there.
I know.
I move that the board consider, or that the board grant a variance in case 1513V, Zone R3, 77 Mill Street, BDT Architects Appellant, from ACC 231001, Table A, Schedule of Bulk Controls, to allow construction of a building and parking area with 62% total lot coverage, where 60% is the permitted maximum.
Second.
You want a second? Okay. We have a second. Going through the findings, special circumstances.
Actually, now we start with exceptional. Yeah, that's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's the shape of this lot they mentioned? Practical difficulty. That's what I was trying to argue, that we have extra 300 square feet lot coverage versus reducing maybe one or maybe more because they are stacked. Of bedrooms, I think that would be a practical difficulty for the appellants.
Well, really, we're talking about the shape of the lot, which is creating the practical, the exceptional circumstance creates the practical difficulty.
You can also argue. Preservation of equal property rights. We look at each property individually, on its own merits. But apparently, we are not giving too much privileges to this piece of property for the intended use. Agree?
I agree.
Minimum variance, again, I think 300 square feet, to me, sounds like minimum. Absence of detriment. That will be actually some improvement for the Mill Street.
I think so.
And it is not of a general nature.
It is not.
Okay, all in favor of this variance, please raise your hand. Yeah, she doesn't oppose. And so you do have the variance.
Before you guys move on, your presentation was very nice. I have you on the agenda for the open communications Thursday for the Planning Commission, but I do want to stress at that point it's probably going to be more about density. Each and every one of you knows what Mill Street's like a couple times throughout the year, and this is an increase in density. So
define density.
the number of people that are living on Mill Street and the crowds that develop, and I think your pastor knows better than anyone right now.
You can speak on that behalf, can't you?
Yes, I was right there. So just, I want you to be prepared for that on Thursday.
But John, before you leave that, wasn't it the decision of the city not so very long ago to make this an increased density area?
Yeah.
It's turned out to be a mistake, of course, but that was a decision
I
that
don't
the
know
city
if
made.
mistake's the right word.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
you need a place
You're questioning it at any rate.
So it's just, I think it's, the Planning Commission is going to look at it as density with thought.
Okay. Sure.
That things are done in an appropriate way.
Yeah, I don't have to worry
It's
about
not
that, so okay.
overwhelming.
Well,
Does that make sense?
yeah, we'd rather have our units, which would present a quality unit than the units we have right now.
Right. So I just wanted to give you a heads up for Thursday.
Thank you. I read the minutes of our June 9, 2015. Anyone else has any? I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 9, 2015.
Yes, I move that we approve them.
A second, okay. So it's approved, and do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.